This is so cool. 4 Salk Institute scientists received grants from the National Institutes of Health for nearly $13 million. The federal funding helps with research to deepen understanding of the human brain and improve how we treat, prevent, and cure disorders like schizophrenia and Alzheimer's disease. Here now to talk more about it are Salk Institute scientists Nicola Allen and Ayman Azim. Thank you both so much for joining us.
Thank you for the invitation.
Okay, so this is going to be so interesting. Tell us, Nicola, your grant is for nearly $5 million. So tell us, explain to people. I would try to explain it to you, but I'm not going to. You do it for us.
So most of us, when we think about the brain, we think about the neurons, the electrically excitable cells. But what most people don't know is half your brain is other cells called glia. And there's actually billions of these cells in your brain. And what's really important is if they don't work properly or you don't have them, your neurons don't work either. So what we're doing in this grant is we want to understand what are the properties of these cells normally, how can we target them and kind of deliver potential new therapies for different disorders like you just mentioned, like Alzheimer's, by studying these glial cells as well as the neurons.
Because overall that improves the health of the brain. You want them functioning really well.
Yep.
And so you're talking about targeting for drugs to treat these kind of things.
Yeah, so what's important right now is we're just beginning to realize in diseases like Alzheimer's, if you look at what's happening early on, it's these glial cells that are changing. So we want to know, could we stop those changes? Could that have some benefit in the disease? But to do that, we need to know, well, what do these cells do normally? What are their normal properties? So that's what we hope to identify.
That's interesting. So that specific cell, that's what's changing when you study the brain with people with schizophrenia and with dementia and Alzheimer's.
It's part of the story. Yeah.
Okay, okay, cool. All right, Ayman, tell us about, let's see, nearly $3 million to understand how the brain and the spinal cord work together to even grab your cup of coffee and go, right?
Exactly, yeah.
Okay, so what will you be studying?
So we're fundamentally interested in how the brain controls the body. The only way you can interact with the world is to cause your muscles to contract. And so specifically what we're studying with this work that was funded by the NIH is we want to understand how you're able to coordinate complex movements like reaching and grasping an object, manipulating an object, where you have to coordinate the contraction of dozens of muscles. And we really don't have a good idea of how that happens, but we think we're finding circuits in the brain that allow you to move with precision and speed. So specifically, we think that there are circuits that tell you what you're about to do so you can predict what's about to happen and make rapid corrections.
Make rapid corrections. So what will the end game be for this study?
Well, a fundamentally better understanding of how the brain works, I think, is a major goal. But if we want to put ourselves in a better position to diagnose and treat disorders after injury and disease, we have to understand how the system normally operates. And so I think this puts us in a position to see what might happen if certain parts of the circuits break, which happen all the time in injury and disease.
That's true, and how to maybe make them start working together again,
exactly.
I guess. So the end game for all of this is to treat these. I mean, you're seeing these diseases are getting diagnosed more and more, right? Bigger percentages of our population.
Yeah.
So that's why you're really looking at them. I'm surprised that we're not hearing more about these kind of studies already.
I think you will with the glial cells. It's something that as a community we're now realizing if we want to treat these different disorders, we have to look at the whole picture. So look at the whole environment of the brain, not just the neurons, but also the glia and how they work together. So I think in the future, particularly at Salk and also UCSD and other institutes, many people are beginning to realize this could be the key to kind of unlocking these new targets.
That is so cool. They're really cool. Is it true that we only use 5% of our brain? No?
No, not at all.
How much do we use?
We use all of it.
Really?
Just at different times. Yeah.
Okay, left and right brain. Okay, so when will we start, once the study starts, how long does it last? Is it a 20-year study? Is it a 5-year study?
So for us, it's just 3 years, so we're already getting going on it, generating some data. But we hope by what we generate in this study, it will lead to more studies for us and other groups to really help us move forward and move this field forward.
And then when you're talking about treatments down the line, what happens? You come up with, here's the results, and then do you start working with drug companies or other researchers or hospitals?
You know, it really depends. I mean, in my field, in the field of motor control, there's already discoveries that are informing things like prosthetics. So there are already patients that are being helped by things called brain-machine interface, where you can communicate with a machine that could maybe control a robotic limb. So I think it all is going hand in hand. And the Brain Initiative is a really exciting funding opportunity for our work and our colleagues' work, because NIH has said for the next 10 years or so, we're going to invest in projects like this that are going to teach us more about the brain and how to help patients.
The National Institutes of Health, when I worked in Montana, they have a laboratory there. It's incredible. And so for them to be eyeing you guys at Salk Institute, wow, what an honor, and thank you so much. Thanks for joining us and explaining that to us.
Thank you.
Logan?
Thanks,